Recording. Welcome to our Soul Chats, session 5, but also our finale session. So tonight we're coming to you via Zoom rather than Facebook Live, just to give you something different. And we're going to share with you something that we really have been talking about quite a lot. We want to talk about our truth. We want to wrap up our soul chats, our scheduled soul chats in a way that is actually more true to our hearts. So welcome, Katerina.
Thank you.
So nice to have you here as well. So tonight, even though this isn't Facebook Live and not as interactive as it has been, we still want people to write their comments as they're listening. We're still going to be replying to comments. We just felt that a structure for two Aquarians that are very intuitive and are on a path that are trusting their intuition more and more. And the fact that we're doing these soul chats was purely because we would have intuitive inspiration and we'd start having these really deep conversations, and we wanted to share that with everyone. And now that we've structured it and made it every Sunday, we're both feeling a little bit out of whack. It's set in time, it's set in structure. We feel we've got a responsibility to anyone that's listening that that's not intuitive. That's not how we roll. That's not flowing with the energy. That's just not something that felt right. So we wanted to even begin this final soul chats in terms of what is your truth, because the whole conversation and every chat that we've had is actually about listening to your feelings, trusting your intuition, following it, acting on it. So this is us doing that by actually now doing a Zoom, a recorded, and we're also capping off our soul chats, the structured soul chats. We'll be doing lots of lives, but we're going to be doing it completely intuitively. So that is where we're sort of coming from tonight. We want to open up that conversation as well to what have you set in stone? What have you got in your life that you feel is structured that you just don't feel right about? It doesn't feel like it's in flow. It feels like you're responsible for, and it's not something that feels right anymore. Obviously the big topics would be your job, even some relationships, those big things that you just think, well, you just have to put up with. But we want to crack that open tonight. So I want to pass it over to you, Katerina. What do you feel about your truth and honoring your intuition? And let's chat.
Go from there. Well, I like that you call me Katerina. Like, nobody calls me Katerina anymore.
Do you know, I've never asked you if you're okay with Kat, so I keep swapping between the two.
Of course I'm okay with Kat.
Good.
I feel like Katerina's I don't know, every time someone says Katerina, I feel like I'm about to get in trouble. Like, nobody calls me Katerina except for my dad.
Excellent. We'll eliminate that.
Katerina, Kat, Jim, you can call me whatever you like. So, yeah, so basically, exactly like you said, I don't even necessarily think it's an Aquarian thing, but especially because we're Aquarians and we like our freedom. But I just think structure and booking things in, especially stuff like this, blocks the flow. It needs to come through when it needs to come through. And like you said, there's so many different parts of our life that we have set in stone. We have to do this at this time and this at this time. And sometimes it's good, but a lot of the time it's just stopping the flow of energy that can make that process amazing, as opposed to just I have to do this, So like you said, we've spoken about it quite a bit, and we're both quite intuitive, and we're both in a very specific place in our journey. And I think all of the amazing conversations that we've had that we haven't shared online have always come through that genuine intuitive flow. And that's what we're more about. That's the stuff that really gets us both excited. So, I think it's a little bit hypocritical for us to sit there and make videos telling people to listen to their truth, and then we're not doing the same thing. Not to say that, everything we talk about is a lie. But for example, when I know that we have a session at 8:00 every Sunday, I almost feel like I have to mentally prepare. And when you mentally prepare, it takes away the flow. It takes away the intuitive part of it. So, yeah, I think this is just about to open up a completely different channel of information for both of us and people watching, because we still will be doing live videos, but they're not going to be at Sunday at 8:00. They're going to be, hey, Tammy, I'm in the zone. Let's do it. I'm like, okay, cool, let's go. So I think that's where some really cool magic will happen and take place.
I agree. And we can still operate in that event. I still think that is a really nice structure that allows people to know where to come to find the videos and to go back to the beginning. If it's something that really hits home or resonates, then we can just still keep operating and doing our Facebook Lives or Zooms or whatever it is in that actual event. So continually keep inviting people in, and any updates we ever do off the bat or off the cuff or whenever we feel like it is going to be all still in that event, so people can still follow along.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is as well, because you and I don't have a typical lifestyle the way most people do,
Hence.
If for example, tuning in at 8 o'clock on a Sunday still works for you, then you still can do that. But instead of tuning into a live video, you can just see what we've posted throughout the week or whatever. You know, if that's what will work for you, then you can do that. But in terms of us providing genuine and authentic and inflow, like just the highest quality content that we can for both of us, it has to come from a very authentic and intuitive place. It can't be a very rigid and strict process.
Agree.
Yeah.
So then so how do you relate this back to your story? So if we're going to cap off our Soul Chats sessions in this conversation, so your journey that you've been explaining to us, so how does honoring your truth or being intuitive, how does that all link in for you?
So many ways. Well, I think, you know, especially from coming from a place where I felt so disempowered and so disconnected from myself. Like I said, the first time that I sat down and saw the counselor last year, literally the first words that came out of my mouth was, I don't know who I am anymore. And I genuinely think that's one of the most difficult places to ever be in, because you don't have a sense of self. And I think a lot of people take that for granted. And so coming from that place to where I am now, I think honoring my truth inevitably has made me feel empowered beyond anything I've ever actually felt before in my life. You know, like this year I've caught up with people that I haven't necessarily seen for a few years or spoken to properly in a while. And all of them have said that, like, Kat, you're just at a different place. Like, we've never seen you like this. I'm like, I've never been like this before. So a big part of that was allowing myself to emotionally heal and let go everything. But it all comes back to being comfortable with my truth, being authentic with who I am. So whether that's about healing, whether that's about my creativity, whether that's about the quality of coaching I can offer for people, whether that's the quality of friendship I can offer, whether that's, you know, the person that I show up to in any given situation, what's the quality that I'm bringing to the table. And you can only do that when you allow yourself to be empowered by your truth and authenticity. Like, that's genuinely where the magic happens. Whereas, you know, I've always been very, I wouldn't say forceful, but forceful in an energetic sense. So, for example, I'd learn a lot of information. I'm a very fast learner. And then I'd make things happen. I'd constantly be forcing and forcing and forcing based on my knowledge. And knowledge is great. We obviously have a brain for a reason. But by doing everything from the brain, you're missing out on the more valuable powerhouse of information that's available to you through your heart and through your intuition. And to only get to that place, I had to do everything that I've done over the last year. So yeah, for me, it's about finally stepping into a place where I'm just so comfortable with who I am. And that includes on the days that I don't feel comfortable with who I am, I'm still comfortable with knowing that I'm not comfortable with who I am, if that makes sense, right? It's just a completely different process. You're so detached from yourself now. You're basically just watching yourself at all times without judgment. And that's, to me, is one of the most euphoric places you can be in, because there's no more self-loathing. There's no more, you know, I shouldn't be feeling shit. Like today, for example, you know this, but everybody else doesn't know this. I woke up, I think, at about 10 o'clock after going to bed at like 2 in the morning or something. And I felt really tired. I stayed in bed. It's been raining in Melbourne all day. So I was like, no need for me to get out of bed. Stayed in bed, tried to do some work, wasn't flowing. So I just let it go. I started looking at like World Cup highlights and stuff like that. And I think by about midday or 12:30 or 1 or something, I was feeling really tired. So I went back to sleep for like 3 hours. I didn't even set an alarm. I'm just like, I'm just going to wake up whenever I need to wake up. And now I feel great. And now we're having this conversation. Whereas previously, I would be like, I can't nap. It's a waste of time. You know, I should be doing things. And it just doesn't work. Like, if you need a nap, you need a nap. Don't be scared to take a nap. It doesn't make you lazy. It means you're looking after your body and you're listening to it. So I almost feel like answering that question in terms of every single benefit I've had from it could be a lifetime story. Like, it's literally every second of every day, whatever you're doing has now been taken to a place that I've never experienced before.
Beautiful.
So, yeah. So how about for you then?
Very similar. My whole journey was having to break everything down into very small pieces. That was the only way that was allowing me to feel my feelings and trust my intuition. So like the big picture, which I'm always a part of, or always looking in the future, or always wanting more, or doing, same kind of thing. We're all operating from the same kind of headspace. That the only ways to bring that back is for me to be very conscious of how do I feel right now. I've asked myself that 1,000 times, and then I'd get, sent off into the future again and want to plan next month and go, oh, what am I going to do next week? Who gives a shit? Every time I had to like bring it back. And I've done that for years to get to this point as well. So like you said, you are completely detached, which makes you completely connected to who you are. You're now an observer. I don't have any mental thoughts that like bring me down anymore. I still have similar thoughts. Nothing has actually really changed in my life. The external world, besides being in Bali, which has happened 3 times this year anyway, is just, it's no different. Like, it's just now nothing has a hold on me. Nothing brings me down. Nothing changes me. Nothing has control over me. All of those things, it's just like I'm clear. Like I feel like I can just picture myself internally and I'm just completely clear. And so the way that you say it, that you're an observer, I totally feel the same way, that the thoughts are popping up. I'm still like looking out there going, I wish I could learn to surf. I still don't want to. I'm fearful. Like all my little bits of things, they're still there. Like they might change. They might just like release soon enough. But I don't have a hold on it. I'm not feeling guilty. I don't feel ashamed. I'm not beating myself up. All that other layers of rubbish that we've all carried has now gone. And like you said, I can't fucking explain how amazing this is. Like, I can't even say the best, you're finding your soulmate, the best job in the world, traveling forever, having the most money. None of that's going to fucking come close to this as far as I'm concerned. Like, this internal 100%. Feeling is everything. Like, this to me is what we're all seeking. We just don't know we're seeking it from inside. We still think that the outer world is going to give it to us. We kind of know, but we kind of don't. Until you get to this point, you're like, 100%. Everything is about your feelings. Everything is about your intuition, your guidance. You know when you're listening to it. You know when you're acting on it. You know when you're not. That's totally up to you. It doesn't matter what you're doing. There's no rules. But for me personally, I just had to consciously ask myself, how do I feel? What do I want to do? And do it. Sometimes I wouldn't do it. I'd be too scared. Whatever. Come back. Try again. Every single second of every single day, no matter where I was, what I was doing, bigger picture, anything. It was all about me having to listen to my feelings because this was taking over, and I was not even listening to my feelings, which is your intuition, and that is your guidance. That is what you are, why you are a spiritual being that allows you to live a life that you can create anything and you can do anything with your life. That's why we're all here to heal ourselves, I believe, so we actually can help others heal. And again, why we have these conversations and why we share this in this beautiful world of digital media and the platforms that we can use now is to really share that with everybody. So it's a powerful, powerful shift, I think. So this is something that we all need to bottle up and like give to everybody as fucking quickly as we possibly can.
Yes, absolutely. And that was like a big part of me, like so easily jumping on board with these videos because do you need to move or something?
No, you go.
Okay. After being like from where I was and getting to here now in really a pretty short period of time. Like I didn't spend years in therapy. I didn't, have to, I don't know. I guess my biggest advantage though is I've always been really interested in human behavior and I've always been very observant of myself and others. So I guess it hasn't been a long process, but it kind of has because I already had the foundations there. But at the same time, I think everybody does have those there. They're just not aware of it and they're not using it in the right way. Okay. And it's very interesting what you said about, you can still have the same sorts of thoughts that, those same insecurities that come up. But I think a big part of what's missing from that now is the after judgment that comes with that and all the energy that takes. So I didn't realize how much energy all of that after talk takes away from me until now that I no longer have it. And I don't necessarily mean physical energy, I mean even mental energy. So for example, I don't know if you know this, but people think that we can multitask, right? And on a physical sense, you can multitask, but on a mental sense, you cannot do two things at once. Like you can't think about a camera. I said camera because there's a camera right there. You can't think about a camera and a bed in this simultaneously. You can't. You will shift very, very, very quickly between one and the other, but you can't do both at the same time. So, yeah, exactly. Which also means then, because I'm not having those hours or days or weeks of those lingering energies and lingering thoughts, that now gives empty space for me to create ideas, for me to create new thoughts, for me to create a new way of being. And you really cannot understand that until you allow yourself to work through those thoughts. Like if somebody had tried to say all that to me last year, I think I kind of would have got it, because I am, like I said, I'm pretty good at self-observing and everything, but I wouldn't have been able to feel it. I wouldn't have been able to feel the truth, you know? And I just think that's something that's, like, I almost just feel like I can't go back to that now. Like any day that I do catch myself, my thoughts start wandering or something, I very quickly can pull it back now, not with judgment. It's just like, hey, we're steer back on track here, kind of thing. And then it's done. Like you don't have to linger in it for days or hours or whatever. You know, but at the same time, it's kind of easy for me to say, because I guess I've kind of spent a lot of time in solitude this year so far to allow myself to get to that place. So at the same time, I haven't really had to endure anything dramatic, but I also feel like it almost doesn't matter. Like whether it's good or bad, I am the same. And it's all just two sides of the same coin, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that we all have our own personalized journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can't okay. Let me know what you think about this. But I feel like we have a path and we're all learning as much as we can in the time that we need to learn it in. Surely there'd be ways to, say, speed up the process, say, to get to the point of self-love, self-appreciation, self-discovery, whatever the fuck we're going to call this. But there's also your journey. Like you can't just get there, as far as I'm concerned. We had to personally go to the areas and do the things that we had to do and were guided to and almost felt like we were forced to do to get to where we were in the time. So I feel like I've been on this journey for almost 5 years. Like intentional self-discovery 2. You said a year. Like time frame doesn't matter. Like the journey of where we have been and where we needed to go has all led to one point. So time frame means shit. Everyone has to just be aware that their journey is their journey. Like nobody else matters. Like don't rush the process, I guess, is the point I'm trying to make, and what I wanted to see what your thoughts were in terms of just allowing however you feel right now is your truth. That's all that matters. It doesn't you'll just get to the point that you need to get to in the time that you need to get it to. Nothing else matters.
Yeah, well, I actually feel, and I don't know if you'll relate to this, but I have a feeling that you will, is that as soon as you start to consciously think about that stuff, you'll actually realize that your whole life has been preparing you for this. So it's, that's why I said to you that it kind of has been a short period of time in terms of consciously dealing with where I was at last year, but it's actually been my whole life.
Yeah.
That I've been gathering little bits of information and little skills and techniques that I realize come naturally to me and all those things. And now they're all just perfectly come together to allow me to do what I needed to do.
Yeah.
So for example, I'm a very positive person, and I usually am full of I'm full of a lot of energy, and I don't struggle with that, and I never have. And so that made this process a lot easier, because, for example, when I had to do some of the healing exercises with my coach earlier this year, and part of that was at the start of it, you kind of let everything out vocally. Like, if you're hating on someone, you're like, I fucking hate you, you hurt me or whatever. But then once you've let it out, the next part of the exercise is to then give thanks for everything that experience brought to you. And so for me, that came more easily than letting out all the anger, because I'm just naturally a positive person. So I could find those things very easily, and I'm naturally very compassionate. So I could keep, once I let it out, I became very compassionate to them very quickly. So that's my process. But anybody who goes through this process, as soon as they allow themselves to explore it, they'll see that all those things that come so naturally to them will help them through this. That's the superpower. That's the guarantee that you will get through it, because those things come so naturally to you. You just have to allow them to come out. And that's what will help you get through everything. It's not reading a certain book or whatever. You might need a bit of guidance in the same way that, I needed a coach to help me through it. But at the same time, it all came back to what I allowed myself to express, if that makes sense.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And this is like such a good segue you just began. That what you've pinpointed, saying that you are naturally maybe a positive person or compassionate, don't we all just come back to love anyway? Like, we've had this conversation. Don't we all have that inside us? So all the other layers, once we get rid of those layers of the emotions and everything else, that on top of that, underneath, we always come back to that love. So whatever love is, it is always usually positive, or it doesn't matter what it is, it's kind of quite neutral as well. So when you get rid of and allow those layers to be expressed, to let them out, to release whatever it is, your way of just letting them go, there's always love, there's always self-love, there's always something positive to come underneath that. That's natural for all of us. I think people tend to be a bit fearful of going through those emotions, because they almost feel like they're going down like a rabbit hole and they're never going to come out. Like, I feel like that you can get so consumed by those emotions and those thoughts that you actually don't see a way out. But we've pinpointed and expressed, especially had these conversations with each other, that there is always a way out, because everything comes back to love. Everything comes back to that really peaceful, calm, content way of being, because that is our natural state of being.
Yeah, 100%. But I also just feel like that, well, I think there's a couple of things. One, we can only ever feel or connect to or understand things in other people that we've allowed to see in ourselves.
Perfect.
And so for a lot of people who have spent years being grumpy pants, being angry at everybody, hating on the world and whatever, they've become so disconnected from that fundamental part of themselves, of the love, the positivity, the kindness, the compassion, that they almost feel like it's not them, that's not who I am, right? And a part of it, I feel, is you need to kind of be careful with who you've told yourself you are. If you've told yourself you're an angry person, and then we're encouraging you to heal, to bring out this kindness and love and compassion, immediately you're going to disagree with that, because that's not who I am. But it's all just layers. It's kind of like layers of an onion. Some people might have 3 layers, some people might have 20 layers. But I think all of it just kind of reflects how much you've added on. But if it's a layer you've added on, that means it's a layer you can take off. So it doesn't matter, and just because you have 2 layers doesn't mean it's going to be faster. You could have 20 layers, but they're all really shallow and really light, and you could have it done in like 3 months. Or you could have 2 layers, but they're so deep and so thick, it could take you 5 years. Like you said, time doesn't matter. The point is that once you allow yourself to do that, to explore it, and then again, this comes back to speaking your truth, and that also means feeling your truth. Like, it all just flows. Your emotions are not going to kill you. They're not. They're really not. It's just an energy that just needs to come through you. And that's it. And when you look at it with that perspective, it's a very different experience.
And to add to that, everything is actually trying to heal you. Your body is always in constant cycle of bringing itself back to balance. That is how it's designed. The world around us, the universe, is always in balance. We get to choose what kind of extremes we're in and we live in terms of balance. But constantly, our bodies are trying to heal us. So if every pain you feel, every tension, every thought, everything that feels like it hurts you or is wrong or bad, you can look at it as in terms of it's being released. It's surfacing for a reason, because it's actually healing you. Like, why your thoughts ever come up, why there's ever a theme, why anything is ever, I guess, shifting and changing in your life, is because that is the way we're built. We are all cycling. So constantly we are shedding, we're changing, we're evolving. That is the natural part of us being humans. when we try and
Yeah.
hold on to certain parts of ourselves that just aren't, I guess, suitable or beneficial to us anymore. Like that's when we're creating havoc, I guess, in our bodies. We don't know it. We haven't been educated that way. But if you can look at any type of feeling, thoughts, or whatever's going on with you, it is actually all healing. When you can look at it that way, all of a sudden you don't think, fuck, something's wrong with me, or I've got a headache for 2 days, like I've got to go to the doctor. Like you don't freak out and you don't add on layers because you think there's something wrong with you or there's something bad with you. When you just think it's healing, the world changes. Your inner world changes and the outer world changes because it is all healing. So why isn't it? You know?
Yeah, definitely. It's exactly what it is. And it's funny you should say that because I think that the one that we try to band-aid the most, like I think it's definitely our emotions. We just ignore them. But then on top of that, the next one is our physical symptoms. You know, we have a headache, bang, I need a Panadol. You don't need a Panadol. You probably just need some water and a good night's sleep.
Yeah.
And to stop fucking stressing. That's what you need. You don't need a Panadol, right? But then what happens? Then people wonder why it's like, oh, I always have a headache. Of course you always have a headache. You're not listening to your body. It's screaming at you like, hey, listen to me. I need some help from you. And you're fucking ignoring it and silencing it by dropping some fucking pills. Like, stop it. This just blows my mind. And it blows my mind now because of where I'm at, obviously. But to be honest, I've never been someone to very easily pop pills. I've just not been like that.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is for years, I've had pain in my shoulders and my neck. And a couple of months ago, it was starting to get really bad that I'd constantly need to do this because my neck was getting so tight. And usually, like at one point, I was seeing an osteo probably every 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, like very regularly. And I was like, you know what? This pain isn't going to kill me. I'm just going to wait it out. I'm going to allow myself to emotionally heal anything that comes up. I'm going to give myself rest if I need. I'm going to do that if I feel it's what I need. I'm going to whatever. Let's just see if I can deal with this without going to the osteo. And now it's gone. And the thing is, I don't know if it's gone forever. But like it was to a point where I could barely move my neck.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing is as well, because most people's life is so hectic, they need that quick fix because they have 50 million things to do. Yeah. Whereas now, for me, I don't ever want to go back to that lifestyle of constantly being like hustling, grinding, let's go. I'm not saying there's not going to come a point where I'm going to be working a lot, but working a lot from a place of inspired action is very different to a forceful work. And when you work from a place of inspired action, you cannot have physical ailments to that degree. You just cannot, because the energy that's running through your body is too high. That kind of pain and suffering cannot exist in that kind of vibrational state. That was some that was some truth. Yeah, I felt that. You know, so that's the interesting thing as well, is that it's such a combination of so many different things for people's lives. It's just a constant band-aid. Because of this, I have to do this. Because of that, I have to do that. Because of that, I have to do that. And then it's like, whoa, mate, just calm down.
Feel it back.
Just calm down. Yeah, just bring it back. And people are like, I've got a mortgage to pay. I've got this to pay. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Don't worry about if it's going to give you bad credit. If you are in an amazing state of being, you will find a solution. But the point is that you're not in an amazing state of being. And this is where it comes back to what you were saying before, is that everybody's fixated on the external. And you hear so many times in personal development and spirituality and everything, it comes back to the self. I used to hear that all the time. But now that I've actually done that, now I really understand what it means. I used to think I knew what it means, but now I really understand what it means. So now it's kind of like, okay, it doesn't. And what you said before about the external not comparing, to me, anything that shows up in my external now is just a bonus.
Yeah.
Like it's not a necessity. It would be awesome if it happens, you know, it'd be great if that happens, but it's not like it has to happen, or when it happens, I'll be happy. It's like right now, I'm just loving how things are. Like it's great. You know, and it's such a different space to be in. But again, I think that comes back to the fact that you and I have a very different lifestyle to most people. We have a lot of freedom.
Yeah, we do, because we created that, because we have work to do. This is why we're sharing our stories, because we're here to help people. We're here to help them heal. We're here to guide them back to themselves. We're here to be that coach, support, guidance, whatever they need, just to facilitate them getting to the place that we're at now at least. And like you said,
Yeah.
everything's a bonus. Like, it doesn't matter where I am, who I'm with, what I'm doing. I now feel fucking great. Even when I don't feel fucking great, I'm still totally feel fucking great. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's the weirdest
Isn't
shit
that such
ever.
a
It's just like,
contradiction?
nothing matters.
Yes.
And if it does, like, I make it up. I make up the reasons. I make up the healing. I make up whatever story I want to, because I choose to use everything to support me. Like, why wouldn't I? Like, we get to create our own lives.
That's the thing, is that people are too much in their head. And when you're too much in your head, you can't understand things like that, because things like that come from the heart.
Yeah. But they get there bit by bit. That's the, the pieces that keep guiding you, because we didn't. There's a lot of things, well, everything we went through, we didn't understand till we went through it. Like, that's why we're all on this path. That's why we're trying to, I guess, even like bring this together in a few conversations to kind of wrap up almost like a life transformation, self-development little journey in a few conversations. If we can like give some gold to people just to spur them on, allow them to keep going, give them relief, you know, for them to take home whatever they need at that moment just from us being here by holding this space for them. Like, that's why we're doing this, because we see the benefit of it, and we would just like to help everyone else rise to this level of, I guess, awareness, consciousness, self-love, whatever you want to fucking call it, because this is life. This is now where life begins. Like, the rest is like work, hard work. Now this is flow.
Yeah, but just to backtrack a little bit, I want to make it really clear that you don't necessarily have to quit your job, sell your house, travel and everything to do that. This isn't about the external. Again, like how I said that you and I live a very different lifestyle. It's not about the lifestyle. It's like we said, it's everything about the self. It comes back to the self. So, you know, you could still be working a 60-hour job, have a mortgage, have kids, have a partner, need to clean the house, need to whatever, and still feel this way. That's the whole point of it, is that if whatever is going on for you, if you're not happy, if you're not fulfilled, it doesn't matter on the external. You just have internal work to do. And the I think most underrated and disregarded thing about that is that we are with ourselves 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You don't have to worry about if your partner's home to have a chat about your relationship. You don't have to worry about, I don't know, to be at home to clean the house. It doesn't, no matter where you are, no matter what you are doing, you have an opportunity to do something about how you feel. It's that simple. You are constantly given choice and the resources to make a change. It's not about how much money you have. It's not about where in the world you are. It's not about who's around you. It's, am I going to make this decision to do something different right now? And it's that simple. We look at it that simple. It's like, shit, I constantly can make myself feel better. But again, to get to that point, it's kind of like you need to realize and genuinely believe that it's not about the external. And I think that can only come if you allow yourself to play with that idea.
True. Yeah, true. And that's maybe something we've just allowed to crack open for people, because I was still like chasing the external the whole time. I've chased the business that I want, the money that I thought would help me get there, you know, the lifestyle. And I'm at this point where now none of it matters. But now it all starts to get, because now you're a magnet. Now you just actually attract it anyway. Like, that's the irony of it. But you don't get the internal by having the external. It's the other way around. Like, if you can open your mind to that could be potentially possible, then it just allows you, I think, to process everything a little bit easier, really, rather than go down a very bumpy road and make things very hard for yourself while you're trying to heal or just get to a place that you're happy with, where it can be smooth sailing when you are just listening to your feelings and just, I guess, even listen to say where we're at. It's possible because we're kind of living proof, and we're trying to explain it in a way that hopefully resonates.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, the thing is that, so for example, there are people that exist in the world that have created like $1 million or $1 billion businesses, but they're not necessarily on this journey. And that makes people think that they have to push and work hard to make things happen. And I think what's actually happened there is people have misidentified what's actually got that person there. It's actually not the hard work. It's the alignment and the vibration. That's what's got them there. It's got nothing to do with the hard work. I know people that have worked so hard their whole life. My dad, for example, used to work so many hours when I was a kid. At one stage, we owned 3 houses, right? Him and my mum went through a nasty divorce. She kind of screwed him over. Now he's got nothing. He's on a pension and he rents an apartment that's government owned in Altona, which I'm not saying that with judgment. My point is he fucking worked hard, got it all and lost it, which means working hard it's not the thing. What is the thing is the vibrational alignment with it. And the thing about what will make you realize that is then when people don't have it. So for example, if you have it all and lose it, how do you behave when you've lost it? That's what will really show you whether you're in vibrational alignment and everything is flowing, or whether you just had one part of you working after that thing. So for example, with my dad, I think it was his head more than anything pushing him to make that happen, as opposed to being in alignment and coming from an abundant space. His was coming from a desperation space because he came from a village in the middle of Italy, in the middle of nowhere, literally cliche story, was on a trip on a boat for like 3 months to get here, a suitcase and like 2 lire in his pocket, which is like, I don't know, probably cents or something, like nothing. So he came from nothing, came from scarcity, was so scared of going back to that he pushed. But because his underlying energy was about lack, was about scarcity, was about poverty, that's why he's ended up back there and hasn't been able to do anything to get himself out of it. Whereas I think people who work really hard and get it, people are like, oh, you see, you can only get it if you work hard, because that's what they think happened. But that's looking at it just with your eyes. That's looking at all of the other energetic information you have about it. And to me, it's about the fact it's not about how hard they worked. It's about the more harder they worked and the more consumed by it they became a vibrational match for what they wanted. But you don't have to do that through hard work. You can do that through your thoughts, through your imagination. You can skip the hard work part.
For sure. Agree. And do you think it's actually just marketing? Because our attention goes to the people that are earning the money, and there's so many people right now that have all these posts about how much they've made. Like, I don't give a fuck how much money you've made. But maybe a month or two ago, I cared and thought, shit, I need a part of this because it'll give me the life that I want, and then I'll be free and rah, rah, rah. But I'm like, if you're as happy as I am, fucking sweet. I'm really glad that you're earning that money. I don't really know why it's a draw card, because for me, how I feel right now, if someone could give me a taste of that feeling, which I guess we got little taste, that's why we kept going along our path that we did. That, to me, this is all that matters.
Yeah,
this
100%.
feeling, like this way of being, this mindset, this clarity mind that it doesn't matter where I am, what I'm doing, I'm very happy and I'm very at peace and I'm very content. And but marketing doesn't allow for that. Like, how do we advertise that as something that people would want? Because then they're going to ask, well, where do you live? You know, have you got a partner? What's your job? You know, what's your money? All these other things. That's not in terms of what people think they want or think they need to make themselves happy. Like, it does not go in people's minds. It doesn't go together, right? So marketing can be more of an issue than what the reality is. People might be in vibration. They might just think that's too hippie to actually even talk about. They might have just found that unique quality or that part of themselves that just naturally was a magnet to the business, to the soulmate, to the money. And that's where they were at, but they either didn't realize it, or they don't think that's a story they can tell, or it's way too out there for people to actually sell, because how can you actually sell that? So I think almost the marketing and the mindset about marketing is how then do you share and allow people to get to this point when we're not selling anything. All we're trying to do is help people like themselves and get to a happy place, like internally. We don't have a fucking product to sell necessarily.
Yeah, I agree to that, but I'm just going to elaborate a little bit more. I think, so any information can be put out to the masses.
Yeah.
Not everybody in the masses is going to agree with that information. So for example, you and I can see information like that and it doesn't click with us because we're in a different space. So it's not just about the information that gets put out there, it's the vibrational match of the people in the masses, whether they're going to take that in or not. There's always two sides. So that's the purpose of this, is the more you come back to your truth. And this isn't about conspiracy theories. This is actually just about understanding how human beings work, how our brain works, how our body works. There's millions and billions of dollars put into marketing from companies to make us want things that work on our survival mechanisms in our body, you know, and that's what makes people buy, as opposed to, you know, so for example, if you ever go to the shop and need to buy milk, or no, if you ever go to the shop and need to buy a jacket, but you come home with 10 bags of clothes, for example, you haven't bought consciously. 9 times out of 10, you haven't bought consciously. You've bought because of marketing. Something looks pretty, or something smells good and gone to your senses, or something has happened. You're like, oh, I like that. And the thing is, if you understand your brain is wired to push you towards pleasure and avoid pain. So of course, if something smells good, if something tastes good, if something sounds good, or if something, like for example, I was watching a TED talk, I think, or something that was talking about how confectionery companies put millions of dollars into marketing and deliberately called snacks fun size, because the word fun evokes a sense of fun. It's a positive feeling. So naturally your brain is going to be like, oh, we want fun. Okay, we need to go buy that chocolate. It's actually got nothing to do with the chocolate. It's entirely about the fun. And then on top of that, inside the food, there's even more stuff in there to get your taste buds going, or to get your physical body excited. You know, so there's so many ways that whether it's marketing or not, it almost doesn't matter. It all comes back to the self again, because they could put any marketing out there, but if you're self-aware, if you're authentic, if you're truth, you'll be like, hey, I don't need that shit. Actually, I don't want it. I'm not going to give in because it's shiny and whatever, or I'm not going to give in because it's going to make me look better.
Perfect.
You know, so I think there's always the two sides of it. And I actually saw something recently about, it was like a meme or something that had a picture of a poor person or somebody that doesn't earn a lot of money on the left side, but they had like $300 pair of glasses, $700 watch, $200 pair of shoes, whatever. And then next to it, they had a millionaire who had maybe $120 glasses, $40 t-shirt, $40 pair of shoes, pair of jeans, and $100 pair of shoes. So the funny part is a lot of poorer people mindset who want to be rich because they think that's what's going to make them valuable in society. They don't have the money, but they buy things beyond their financial situation to look like they have the money. But that's actually the complete opposite of what's actually going to make you abundant. You know, so it's, again, it just all comes back to the self. It all comes back to
and how
whatever.
Exactly, and it's how you feel, because that is going to guide you into the location, to be around the people, to live in the environment, the type of house, wear whatever clothes. Every decision that you ever make, your feelings guide you to what actually is that congruent, in alignment truth. Like all of that stuff that's your feelings. Like they actually guide you. So you know the difference. Again, you can feel when it's like, oh, my head is just like run away with it, all the thoughts are going. Like the feelings, what we said is there's just no thoughts. When you just feel that urge and something pulls you, there's just almost no thoughts but backing it or like trying to take over. It's just like, I want to do this, I'm going to do this. So you start acting on that, and you get very good at practicing that and getting very strong and trusting that what happens when you follow those feelings is the thing that you wanted anyway. So
yeah, exactly.
That's why you then trust the guidance, because you're like, oh fuck, that's where I was trying to get to. Should have just listened to my feelings. It would have been a lot easier or quicker.
Yeah, or if it's not what you wanted, it'll give you something better, or lead you towards that way.
Exactly.
Towards that way. But just an example I want to give, going back to the hard work thing, is when you actually think about it, for a lot of people in media and marketing, like whenever I think of hardworking people and how if you actually observe them, they don't they may be financially successful, but in terms of working hard, I don't want to look like them. The first person that always comes to my head is Gary Vee. Now, I'm not judging Gary Vee. I obviously don't know him. I don't know if you know who Gary Vee is, Gary Vaynerchuk. He's a guy who is very big into sports. He's very big into a lot of stuff. He's kind of like a business guru kind of guy, and social media and stuff like that, right? I'm sure if you Googled him, you would know who he is. Now, he's all about pushing. He's all about hard work. He's all about grinding. He wants to buy the New York Jets. He wants to do a lot of things, which is great. Like, I also want to make it clear, I don't think we're not saying that there's a problem with having goals either. That's not the issue. It's about not being attached to whether you get the goals or not. And when I actually watch Gary Vee, if I ever watch any of his stuff, he looks so fucking tired. He just, like, bags around of his eyes, everything. He just looks tired. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. And I bet you if somebody said that to him, he'd probably be like, yeah, because I work so fucking hard. What do you expect? But that's the point. It's like, why do we link working hard and being tired with success? We've made that link. We think that we can only be successful if we work really hard and we push and we don't listen to our body and we don't rest, right? It's always this hustle and grind. And I think, yeah, it would be cool maybe to have his money and to be able to travel as much as he does and whatever. But do I actually want to look and feel that way? No. And the thing is, again, when you come from aligned action, when you come from inspired action, you can still do 13, 14-hour days. But you're not using your internal energy. The energy source is from the universe. It gives you an abundance of energy, which means you don't age, you don't get as tired, you don't push as much, you don't exert as much energy because you're not actually using your own energy. You're using the universal energy around you to give you the energy that you need. It's a very different space. So, and also just to be clear, because obviously this is going on the internet, Gary Vee's behavior, Gary Vee's words that come out of his mouth are not who Gary Vee is. I'm not judging him. I'm not having a go at him. I don't know him. I'm literally just saying from an observational perspective, if you physically just look at his body, if you hear the way he talks, like he talks a lot about him coming from a space of love, right? But then you hear the way he talks and he's calling people a fucking loser. Like, that doesn't even make sense to me. That's not from a space of love. That's not. And it actually gets me annoyed. It's kind of like an abusive dad telling you that he loves you, but then he belts the shit out of you. You're actually teaching your child that love is belting the shit out of you. So when I see stuff like that, I get worried that people are going to think, if I love someone, I have the right to call them a fucking loser.
And you see, like, how easy is that for all those incongruences to begin our whole world? Like, from a child, everything that we've all experienced, look at how that prime example you've just given can be what people are built on. So no wonder we're not in alignment or we don't know our truth, because we've listened to authority figures, which could just be our parents or teachers or whatever, saying and doing things that for us it didn't feel right or it didn't match with what they were saying. And as someone that's still evolving or as a small child, you still take that authority figure as truth and you take that as a belief, even though it didn't feel right, because what else are you going to do at 3, at 4, at 5? Go, no, fuck you, mum, I'm not doing that. Like, so we've all got incongruences because naturally that is part of our life. That's part of our growth. That's part of our evolution. Because why else would we have to delayer all that stuff to get to this point now? That's why I've said in another video that I feel like we're just becoming an adult. Like, I feel like we've let go of all this childhood layers and the emotions and the stuff that just never felt right, because what child gets to just be their independent self? You know, I speak to quite a few young mums now, and I'm amazed at how they let their child decide on what they believe in. Like, it is so empowering. It is so beautiful. Like, I just meet the most amazing women these days that I now see the shift. I see the change. And it's not anything wrong with our parents. They did the best they could with the knowledge that they had. And same goes, like, the generations did what they needed to in their time frame. We're in a whole different fucking era. Like, we're in the digital era. Like, life is different now. So we're just evolving to, like, match that, to, like, actually work. And part of that is us being very connected with ourselves. Otherwise, we could get, imagine how wayward we'd get with the digital, social, antisocial world on top of all of our mental, emotional layers that we have. Like, that's why people are suffering quite a lot right now, because there's that overlap.
Yeah, I totally agree. I definitely agree. I was going to say something and I just lost my train of thought. I don't know. I know what I was going to say.
We only have a few more minutes before this closes down.
I was just going to say, but the point of that anyways, that's just evolution. Like, 3 generations from our generation, they're going to be adding on to what we do. It's not about anything being wrong. It's just about taking information that's already available and making it better. That's evolution. That's all it is.
Exactly.
And I know what I was going to say as well, is that just in terms of what you were saying about, you know, us taking a lot of things that we hear from childhood and taking that as a truth. I actually made a podcast recently talking about that, even in terms of our ideas of success. You know, so whether it's success, whatever it is you believe to be true for your life, where did it come from? Is it actually yours, or did you learn it from somebody else? Because if you learned it from somebody else, that's okay. It doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong. That's just what was right for them. It doesn't have to be right for you.
Perfect.
And you know, that even goes to show with Gary Vee. Maybe that's his truth, and that's what worked for him.
Yeah.
And maybe he's happy being tired all the time. To be honest, I don't think he is, because if he was, you wouldn't be calling someone a fucking loser. That doesn't come from a heartfelt space. It just doesn't.
Yeah. I agree.
But that doesn't mean there aren't times throughout his day or whatever that he is happy, that he is in alignment, that he is in flow. But I'm just saying that there's some videos that I've seen that he's not. But then again, that's part of the human process. We're not always amazing and dandy.
No, and
but
that's our judgment as well.
But I also feel like once you get to a certain connection with your intuition and love, you just wouldn't call people names like that.
Yeah, I agree. And to add to what you're saying, I think the way to, I guess, uncover those layers, if you're listening and thinking, well, I don't know what my beliefs are, like when you're really that lost and you don't know what thoughts are yours, what aren't, you don't know how you feel, like you're completely lost and stuck, that answering why or asking yourself questions and then keep continually asking why will get you to your truth. Like if you journal, if you talk yourself out loud, if you, whatever you do that feels comfortable, that allows it all to come out, just keep asking yourself, well, I feel like this. Why? Because of this. Why? Because of this. Why? Because of this. You go down that rabbit hole in a really quite comfortable, safe space that you get to your answer, you get to the gold, you get to maybe mum said this, maybe because I believe this, maybe because of whatever comes up into your mind, into your vision, into your senses. That's eliminates. That is healing. That is a tool and a technique that you can use. If you keep asking yourself why, you will get to your truth.
Yeah, I think so too. But I also think there's another way. Like I've done that as well. But I think, and I don't know, maybe this is just a reflection of where I'm at now, so I can allow myself to do this. But I also think if I had a magic wand and create anything that I wanted, anything, absolutely anything, I could even defy gravity if I wanted to, what would life look like for me? Because then that is literally giving me all of the power. It's all the creative power. It's not taking into consideration what anybody else wants. It's what universe, if I could create an absolute euphoria for myself, what would it look like? And the thing is, a lot of people think, oh yeah, I'd just sit on a beach for the rest of my life and drink some fucking pina coladas. No, you wouldn't, because after you've rested and after you've calmed down, you'd be bored out of your brains. There would be more stuff that you would want to do. So I think it's also about why, but the other end of the same question is, what would I create? If I could create anything, what would it look like? Would I create a life that is working hard? Or would I create a life where I only need to work an hour a day and I'm making enough money? If you really allow yourself to think about it, obviously you're going to go with 1 hour and create enough money that I can. Or you're just going to be like, it doesn't matter how much time I'm working. I just want to love what I'm doing. And it doesn't matter how much money. So there's no right or wrong answer. It's just about what would I create? What would that be? And then when you have that image in your head, but then you're like, but right now, I believe that I have to work hard to make a lot of money. And okay, then that's actually not my belief. That's come from somebody else's, because in my ideal world, that's not how things work. You know, so it's just they're like two different exercises that will get you to the same place.
And one is just letting go of the past. One is allowing you to see the future. But really, you can do both of those things by just asking yourself how you feel in this moment, because the present moment eliminates all that shit. So that's the focus that you need to really come into anyway. Do whatever feels right. That's really our main messages anyway. It doesn't matter what you do.
Exactly right.
So our time's going to cut short, so let's do a quick wrap up. I firstly just want to say thank you for everyone that's watching and has watched and will continue to watch our videos, because we do feel the energy. Like, we get inspired to be able to have these conversations and share them. And then when we had the feedback, or even when you comment or ask a question, like, that serves a purpose. Like, we don't just want to chat for the sake of us chatting. We will do that anyway because we love it. But we want to be in service. Like, we got to this point for a reason. So we have value and we have the support, and we have that ability to facilitate healing, anything, or support or guidance, or whatever you actually need from us. So one, thank you very much for joining us, because this has been a really cool journey for everyone involved. And we want to be here. We want you to know that we're here for you. You're never a burden. You're never asked a silly question. Like, doesn't matter what you say, what you share. If you feel drawn to share something with us or your story, if you don't agree with anything we've said, it's an open forum. We welcome everything in, and we just want you to be you. We want you to just feel very comfortable, very safe, and just so you get to your truth, your alignment, your love, your absolutely everything. in a really nice, smooth, flowing space, because that's what we'd love for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yes, I would also like to say thanks to everybody. Yeah, well, thanks to everybody who's been watching, and I've had some people message me privately or talk to me about the videos and all that. So I really appreciate anybody, whether you watch the videos for 2 minutes or the whole thing or whatever, just valuing yourself enough to be open to new sorts of information. I think that in itself is something quite admirable, because not a lot of people do that. And even more complimentary to us is that the fact you're doing that with us, and you're comfortable hearing our story. So that's a huge thank you. But also, just to kind of reiterate that the way all that we're closing up here is the way that we've been doing them, like having a set topic every Sunday night at 8 o'clock. All we're going to do now is we're not going to have a set time, and we're not going to have a set topic. It's basically, hey, Tammy, you want to have a chat? Yeah, okay, cool, let's do it. And then we'll go with it. And then whatever we talk about is what we talk about, because if that's where we're at in that particular time and space, then there surely will be other people. And they may not necessarily be at it in that particular time and space, but maybe 3 days later or a week later they will be. So it's about just being mindful that we're still going to create videos, we're still going to create content. It's just not on a Sunday night at 8 o'clock necessarily. It may be, but not necessarily. It's coming from a more intuitive space so that we can just really get some genuine, real magic information flowing through.
Exactly. And so we can be in our truth, in the present moment, sharing the energy that's coming through us and the words that come through us, so it can really hit home and really resonate with people, because we want everyone to be, I guess, at their best or at their potential, or just enjoying their life or feeling fulfilled, or whatever it is on your journey. Us being, very present just allows everyone else to do that. It's the whole rising each other up and open consciousness and all that other stuff. It just supports that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also just to kind of, it's got nothing to do with you and I, but kind of just being the example. Like, for example, some of the stuff that I said before about energy, there's no way I would be talking like this 6 months ago. It's only because of the journey that I've been on and where I've allowed myself to get through, that I can talk about stuff like that. So there might be people watching this that they're like, oh, I wish I could express that side of me, but I can't. Trust me. Ask anybody who's known me for a long time. Like, I would never talk about this kind of stuff ever 6 months ago, a year ago, maybe a little bit. I dabble in it a little bit, but definitely not the way I talk about it now. So like we said, it's also about showing you what can happen, showing you how you can bring yourself to a space, showing you how confident you can feel expressing your truth in your story by doing it, and just kind of showing people what's possible when they do that, when they heal, when they allow intuition to come through. It's just kind of like being a living example, I guess.
Yeah, and good point, because we've only been talking, 2 months? Like this, like constantly in conversation.
You and I.
Yeah. Like, it's only been
probably
2 months, and we feel like we have moved mountains personally, because we've opened up to each other. We've allowed each other to express ourselves, and each other has welcomed it. Each other has supported it and even guided. When we've felt a bit stuck or tired, we ask each other, are you okay? We ask each other questions. We kind of coach each other in a very loving space. Like, none of us, we're not telling each other what we know. We're not forcing each other into anything. We both just have come together in a really perfect balanced space that has allowed us to get to this point. I wasn't at this point before we were talking. I was definitely on my way, but we are wanting to share this to allow people to open up, to be expressive, whether it's to us or someone else, to know that how much you can actually get through or move through or eliminate by expressing yourself, by being you, by feeling comfortable enough or safe enough to actually just have a conversation with someone that you feel supported by. And it can be a paid coach or a therapist, or like you and me, we just chat now. And it's been so healing and so helpful and so beneficial. So this is why we do what we do right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And somebody could just watch this and realize that they've been holding true to their partner. And it's like, babe, I really don't like it when you say this. And now they feel confident enough to do that. Well, they may not. They may even just watch this and they do nothing. But 6 months later, a year later, something clicks. I also believe that throughout our life, there's always little bits of information being chucked at us to get us to a specific spot. So whatever they hear in these videos or don't hear is still that. It's just a little bit of information they're adding to get them to some point in their life where it's all going to make sense, is what it's about at the end of the day.
Agree. We're all here living life the best that we can. So
Yeah,
that's all you need to do.
Exactly right. That's it. That's all you need to do.
We're all doing a fabulous job no matter where we're all at. That's for sure. Like really, what people have gone through, I think everyone needs to at least pat themselves on the back and commend themselves for a lot of people going through a lot of stress, a lot of torture, a lot of trauma in their lives. Like, it's amazing that you're still here, you're still plugging along, you're still doing what you're doing the hard yards, you're doing the hard work, and we just want to, I guess, commend you for what you've done up until this point and allow you to see that life can be easy now. Let's turn it all around and let's come from a different space and different mindset, and let's actually enjoy life.
Yeah, absolutely. And something that my counselor said to me last year that totally just blew my mind is that when we hold on to things in the past, right, we're just reliving them in the moment, but we've actually already gone through them, which means we're not the victim in that situation right now. We're actually the survivor. We're the warrior that's come out the other end. And I was like, whoa, mind blown. I'm like, hell yeah, we lived through that.
That is good.
Yes, I'm a survivor. I'm a warrior. I'm not the victim, because if I was the victim, I'd still be in the situation right this very second.
Yes.
But I'm not. It's just my thoughts telling me that I'm still in it. But it happened 10 years ago. Yes, I know, right? I'm like, wow, that's so empowering. I'm a motherfucking survivor. You know, like as soon as you say that word, you're just like, yeah, I got this. You know, like it's not I'm a survivor. Like it's not that shit. Like, I fucking lived through that stuff. You know?
I love that. Unreal.
Yeah. So whatever shit you've gone through, as minute or as significant, because what's minute to one person could fucking be so significant to somebody else. So that it's not about the story. It's not about the experience. Only you can decide how significant it was.
Yeah.
And no matter what it is, like you fucking survived it. Like that's it. You're a survivor. You're a warrior.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So well done, you warriors.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. So we're about to time out. So thank you again, everyone. We look forward to continually talking to you, opening up these conversations, and just feel free to open up and contact us, you know, direct or on our messages or on our event page or whatever you feel comfortable with. We're here for you.
Definitely. We're here. Message anytime, comment, share, whatever.
We're here. We're free. We're available.
Yeah. Hopefully we see you guys in some live videos soon.
Yeah, it would be nice to start inviting other people. So if anyone wants to actually share a story, express how they feel, we will definitely open that up to others to come on live video. We can do Zoom or do an actual Facebook Live and allow others to share their story as well if they actually want to do that.
Yeah, perfect. Absolutely. We're very flexible.
So flexible.
Very flexible. All right.
Okay.
Thanks
Love
so
you
much,
all.
guys. Thanks so much, Tammy. Have a good night.
Thank you. We'll see you all soon.
Ciao.